Many people in the culture are intensely focused on rooting out problematic language and toxic messages. They insist that we must rename sports teams and objects in outer space and rebrand grocery items and ban books and censor films, all for the sake of protecting society from the harm that inappropriate words and ideas may cause. Anyone who steps outside the perceived lines of decency is condemned with a hostility that we once reserved only for rapists and murderers. It would be quite confusing then for any alien who lands on this planet or any person who emerges after being lost in the rainforest for the past 5 decades to discover just what sort of media these perpetually scandalized damsels in distress enjoy. Because the very same people who were so traumatized by a fast food CEO's comments that they boycotted his chicken restaurant for 8 years, and the very same people who have tearfully denounced offensive Disney costumes worn by children, and the very same people who are liable to break into convulsions of anger if you say something really provocative like men have penises, and the very same people who invented concepts like trigger warnings and safe spaces are the ones who will listen to, appreciate, and celebrate the most vulgar and degrading television shows, films, and songs made by some of the most loathsome and repulsive people this country has ever produced. They are Puritans about all that is innocuous and libertines about all that is genuinely objectionable. They have, in a word, everything backwards. And never has that contrast been clearer than with the reaction to the latest bit of audible sewage from the rapper Cardi B. Now, before we get into the song, we should note that Cardi B, a former stripper, has admitted publicly that she used to drug and take advantage of men. In her own words, in fact, listen to this.
You gotta go to a good studio and you gotta put in that bread. I did it with my money. So for a to say that I don't deserve it because I don't put in no work, now that's when I feel like is bugging. Because I did it myself. Must have forgot the that I did to survive. Like, I had to go straight. I had to go, oh yeah, you wanna me? Yeah, let's go to this hotel. And I drug up and I robbed them. That's what I used to do. Nothing was happening to me, my nothing. So for a to say that I don't deserve that's when I know they're bugging, because they do not know the that I have to do.
A real scholar there that we have on our hands. Cardi B Cosby's weak excuse for this behavior is that she had to do it to survive. Yet she has elsewhere bragged that she made up to $3,000 a night as a stripper and had $35,000 in singles saved by the time she turned 22. CCIRS. For comparison's sake, a surgeon earns around $120 an hour, which means that Cardi B, by her own testimony, was taking in substantially more than a surgeon just by taking off her clothes, and yet she needed to lure men back to her hotel room, drug them, and rob them in order to stave off starvation? Somehow the story doesn't add up. It would seem that she is simply a sociopath and a predator who enjoys preying upon other human beings, like Bill Cosby, who also drugged people and took advantage of them. But this fact does not seem to have troubled Reebok or Pepsi, who have both signed million-dollar endorsements with the confessed criminal. The cancel culture has ruined people's lives over edgy tweets they posted as teenagers, yet Cardi B Cosby's personal history involves drugging people and taking advantage of them, and she admits to it and brags about it and faces absolutely no consequence for it whatever. White privilege tends to manifest itself in rather unexpected ways these days, you might say. Now, Cardi's newest song, topping the charts in the US, the UK, across the world, is called WAP. It's an acronym that I can't spell out on the air, but which references female genitalia. In fact, I can't repeat any of the lyrics on the air, but suffice it to say that the song begins and ends with the refrain, "There's some whores in this house," and everything that happens in between would seem very much to confirm those declarations. The song wants to be extraordinarily vulgar, and it succeeds. It also wants to be shocking, but in that regard it fails. For an artist to be truly shocking, she must have wit and intelligence and vision. There is a severe scarcity of those qualities among any of the people involved in this song, so they're reduced to being merely obnoxious instead. The entire song is like something that someone might have scrawled in red ink on a bathroom stall. In fact, I think that a bathroom stall may have a writing credit on this song, but I can't be sure. The problem is less with the music itself or the video accompanying it than with the reaction to it. In saner times, if women were rolling around on the floor and screaming about their genitals for 3.5 minutes, we would just ignore them or perhaps refer them to a counselor who specializes in that particular form of mania. But we don't live in sane times, and so a song with a generic beat, mediocre production qualities, and semi-coherent lyrics encouraging women to make prostitutes of themselves is celebrated as, according to the New York Times, or the LA Times rather, a sex-positive triumph. And according to USA Today, an anthem of female fierceness. And it gets even more absurd than that. There's an article on a website called Complex, which hails WAP as a great cultural achievement. And it just goes into great detail talking about this work. It exclaims, in part, WAP is the epitome of female empowerment. Both Cardi and Megan, the other artist, use the term loosely on the track, are powerhouses of female sexuality, independence, and dominance. In a male-dominated genre that is often criticized for misogynistic wordplay towards women, the two rappers have never shied away from taking back the narrative of femininity in hip-hop. And during a time when black women have taken to social media to advocate for their protection and support while basking in their blackness, the music video couldn't be more timely. It continues on later, walking in the footsteps of iconic sex-positive female rappers like Trina, Lil' Kim, and Kaya, Cardi and Megan splash around in a pool of water, which we can assume is symbolism for yup, and describe in detail what a night in bed with them might be like. Though through cocky, self-assured lyrics, the duo own their sexuality and shine light on other prominent sex symbols and female musicians. And then it continues on later, WAP is a prime example of progressive womanhood and modern femininity. The theme of women prioritizing pleasure and joy runs from start to finish. Liberation and power are showcased in lyrics, placing the track as the duo's most forward and compelling expression. Also, the song slaps. Okay. Many other articles have been written to inform us, predictably, that any criticism of this song is misogynistic and racist and all the other is and isms. And this is the real danger. There has always been stupid, degraded vulgarity in the world, but it becomes especially, to use the favorite term of gender studies majors, problematic when the degradation is presented to our children as something to aspire to. So that's the issue here. Self-debasement is not empowering. And it is rather important that we make this point, even if it does provide the people who are recently offended by a can of beans an opportunity to call someone else a snowflake for a change. But the difference between this criticism that I'm making right now and leftist snowflakery is that the criticism here is warranted, and the message being criticized is actually harmful. Young girls are being explicitly encouraged by this song and by so much else in pop culture to embrace their own objectification, to offer themselves up to be used by men who see them as nothing more than a masturbatory device. They're being told to choose emptiness over joy and to see stupidity and crassness as feminine. And the frauds who cheer this on and help to usher a generation of girls into a miserable life of whorishness and loneliness will soon revert back to decrying the objectification of the female form and pinning the blame for that on the patriarchy and other phantoms. The point here is that even the people actively promoting the objectification of women and the commodification of sexuality know very well that the harm that it causes, and will tell you that if you catch them on a day when they're pretending to care about it. Now, I want you to consider, just to further illustrate this, the words of a woman by the name of Suki Hana, who appeared in the WAP music video and later joined Cardi and the gang for a discussion promoted and broadcast by Apple Music. Here's what she had to say. Listen to this.
I feel like being like sexual and shit, like I don't see nothing wrong with that because, baby, I got 3 kids. And I mean, I got these kids from and f***ing. At the end of the day, me being a hoe, like these people say, like, honestly, I liberate a lot of hoes. You feel me? When I hear Cardi talk about popping some me and my is with it, like that liberate us because it's like you self-respect as hoes, cause how y'all got self-respect? Like, I don't think y'all got self-respect like that, cause first of all, you supposed to tax these, that's self-respect. You feel me? Like, it make me feel liberated. Like, I love crossing boundaries. Because guess what? Scared money don't make no money. If you're going to be scared to get that money, you're going to be scared to be yourself and say, this who I am, then you ain't going to get that coin like that.
Facts.
Leaving aside the fingernails there that must make it impossible for her to eat a Cheeto without blinding herself, notice the question she poses. How y'all got self-respect, she asks. She quite literally doesn't even understand the concept of self-respect. She goes from recoiling at the very idea that a woman would respect herself to suggesting that true self-respect is to be found in the payments a man renders after having sex with you. Need I explain the problem here? People pay for goods and services. To get paid for your sexuality is to have it treated with the same reverence that one affords a hamburger or an oil change. You have reduced yourself, your body, your very person, to a commodity and offered it to someone who doesn't care about you, certainly doesn't love you, and sees you only as a means to an end. This is the diametric opposite of self-respect. Why do you think drug abuse and suicide are so common among prostitutes? Reducing yourself to the sum total of your body parts is not a path to a healthy life, or a long one, we should note. It is a road to disappointment and despair and death, where the fun, for whatever it's worth, is sure to dissipate when your physical beauty wears away, if not long before. This is the road that Cardi B, her fellow pop stars, and her insidious cheerleaders in the media would like your daughter to walk down. And as a man with 2 daughters, I have no shame or hesitation in saying to these forces, no, and go to hell. I'm sorry that you didn't have a father who loved you, but my daughters do, and so they're gonna know better. You can go wallow in your own filth and misery all you want. I will make sure that my girls do not follow you there. Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Matt Walsh Show. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there so you can stay up to date on all of our future content.